No, it's because you had to talk to me, and I started opening up the plot holes. My cynicism got to you.
All right, no one talk to John ever about stuff. Just get recommendations
John
from him.
ever again
That's
about
all.
the things that we love. John, you can never ever talk to me about Spice and Wolf ever.
Oh man, let me tell you about Spice and
No,
man. At this part where Lawrence,
no.
I'm sorry, this is the effect I have on anime and people.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark's movie reviews, a spoiler-free discussion detailing the good, the bad, and the downright ridiculous of anime movies. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and join me tonight, I have our czar of source material, John.
What? Oh shit, we're recording.
Yes, we are. Wake up, John.
It's too early for this.
And our boy Shinoda, whose nickname is still Your nickname is just TBD. That's literally your nickname now. You figure out what it stands for.
10 big dicks.
Wow, okay, there you go.
Not yet, but you know, I'm gonna swing by one of the colleges that are here.
Shinoda, don't let your dreams be dreams.
Oh no!
Don't let your memes be memes, bro.
Though you know what I'm gonna have to figure out at that time? What all their names are. Speaking of which...
Good luck, because that's what we're actually talking about tonight. We have gotten together to talk about, well, I think it's an anime movie that a lot of you weebs out there probably heard of. It's called Your Name, Kimi no Na wa. One of the biggest things to come out of 2016. This is actually one of the bigger anime events that happened right after we started the podcast back at the very end of 2015 into 2016. That and fucking ReZero. What a year. But yeah, it's a spoiler-free review, so if you haven't seen it, hey, you can still stay around. Maybe you'll be convinced to watch it or not. Who knows? So I want to go ahead and start off as I do with every movie review with some of like the introductory stuff. So this is yet another Makoto Shinkai movie. We are on a fucking mission here to just review every single one of his movies, I guess.
Who chose
also
this?
Written
Me.
Shinoda. This is
Shinoda
actually Shinoda's choice.
Okay.
Shinoda chose this because he's one of the like 5 people on Earth that haven't seen this movie
Yes,
yet.
I literally never watched it before, and like I finished watching it an hour ago. So this is hot off the presses.
This is fresh in his mind. Okay.
Fresh. So yeah, it was both directed and written by Makoto Shinkai. He was also the principal editor of this movie and chief cinematographer. So he literally did everything. Produced by Comics Wave Films, the film itself was first screened on July 3rd, 2016 at Anime Expo. And then it was released theatrically in Japan later that year on August 26th. In order to qualify for the upcoming Academy Awards, the film was released for just a single week, the first week of December in 2016, in a couple of theaters in LA. And then the film received a broad North American release on April 7th, 2017.
Did the film win
ahead.
any Academy Awards?
No, it was not even nominated.
Yikes.
To be fair, it's
Damn.
not like the Academy
not
Awards
only did it not
matter. It's all BS.
Yeah, not only did
fair.
it not win, it was not even nominated.
Fair.
I believe this could have been broken by Mugen Train, but I still believe this is the most amount of nations that an anime film has appeared in theaters at 92.
Oh, wow.
I think Mugen Train might have broken that, but I couldn't actually find any data for exactly how many countries that movie had premiered in theatrically. Anyway, the movie itself was made on a budget of $5.62 million US, not adjusted for inflation, and has, at least as of the time of this recording, had a worldwide box office of $358,180,115 US.
Wow.
That is a hell of a return.
That is a massive return. Jesus.
Well, for a lot of Makoto Shinkai films, they're not very like action intense or like need like a lot of budget. So I'm not shocked that it didn't cost that much to produce the film. Like I'm pretty sure $1 million of that budget probably went to like the soundtrack.
I mean, probably.
Would not surprise me.
Music licensing and stuff is pretty expensive. So
yeah. And then the film has a total runtime of 107 minutes. 30 minutes of those are fucking useless at the very beginning. I mean, what?
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But okay, so now that all that's out of the way, let's talk about the art and animation, because Jesus Christ, it's Makoto Shinkai. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I really enjoy, like, a lot of Makoto Shinkai. He loves focusing on background art, and it's just, it brings so much life and vitality into a story when it's good background art. And as always, it fucking looks beautiful.
Yeah, like, even the small details, right? Like, the tiny, tiny details that you see in the background, they just fucking pop, and I absolutely love the way it looks. Like, so you see two different cities in this movie. You see Tokyo, and then you see Izumori, which is actually a fictional place. Both of them, like, they look very distinct, and I love the way that they use background art to, like, distinguish the two places.
Well, like, when they show the apartments for like the characters and stuff, it looks really well lived in. You know, there's a lot of there are a lot of things put into the rooms to like tell you a little bit about the character. Like, here are things that they like, here are color schemes that they like, here are maybe dreams and aspirations that they have, and it's beautiful. It's all just like what I expect of Makoto Shinkai, which is like show don't tell, and I love that style of storytelling. And there were a couple of like weird shots that they do, like they pan very weirdly in a couple of scenes. So I was just like, I was wondering who was doing the cinematography, but if it was Makoto Shinkai, I mean, it just looked kind of weird. It's like it's a 2D JPEG that's like being panned like it's 3D. It was a little bit iffy. There's only 2 parts in the movie where that happens that I noticed, that I was just like, it kind of looks weird, but okay.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I think I know the exact scenes you're thinking about, and Makoto Shinkai has actually used that a couple of times in his movies, but it's looked better in every other movie that he's done.
Yeah, it was a weird continuity thing with me. Like, not really continuity, but it was a weird experience, because I was like, usually I understand why the pan effect was used, like it's to, you know, emphasize certain things, but at the same time, it just looked weird to me. I don't know.
I don't know about you, John, but like, it was great for me. I just watched it, so I haven't had too much time to process it,
digest it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But overall, I was in love with the visuals, especially the background art. I was amazed. I was blown away. I was just like, holy shit, this is just, it's eye porn. It really is. I just love staring at it.
Yeah, like,
it is.
I think Your Name was like the first, if not the first, like probably the best one. At drawing normies to anime, right? Like, there were people watching Your Name that don't watch anime. I know
my parents watch this.
Yeah, I know a bunch of people in my life that don't watch anime that watched Your Name because it's like, oh, this is Japanese film that everyone's talking about, and it's like a cultural phenomenon. But beautiful use of color schemes too. Great job, Makoto Shinkai. You always know how to make things look fucking pretty. I give you that.
And pop.
But I definitely, when I watch this movie, I have something called hype aversion. I don't like watching things that everyone talks about. Like, if I don't discover it by myself and I have to watch it because other people are like, oh, you need to watch it, I'm a lot more critical of the movie, especially since I knew it was Makoto Shinkai. And I was like, I love 5 centimeters per second.
Mm-hmm. I think you're experiencing that right now with the current anime season, too.
I'm not going to talk about that anime. Not on this one. I'm not going to stain Makoto Shinkai's legacy with that stupid anime.
And you know what? We're going to definitely criticize this movie a little bit coming up, but whatever criticisms we can level at Makoto Shinkai's like newest works, I think one thing that is pretty much can be said about all of his works, like it's like a through line through all the stuff that he's ever done, regardless of the narrative quality, it's always looking beautiful. And this film is no different.
Yeah, and I mean, if you've watched enough Makoto Shinkai films, they all kind of bleed together, right? But I would definitely say that Your Name has been inspired by a bunch of his previous works. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like it takes, sure. and he builds on it, and it doesn't make for a bad story at all, in my opinion.
One thing I can say as a criticism for like art and animation is the character designs don't like really stick with me. Like
really,
yeah,
they just seem very
basic.
plain.
They're very basic.
Oh yeah, they are.
And I don't know if that's like a conscious decision on Makoto Shinkai's part. It's like he wants them to be like the everyman or the everywoman. Like they don't stand out, which is fine, but it also makes them kind of forgettable as characters too, if you don't make their character designs kind of stand out.
Especially if you're main characters, they should be standing out a little bit in unique ways. When the only thing
in typical,
that...
like anime logic, right?
Yeah.
They have to have like the main character hair.
Yeah, they have to have like brightly colored hair, or like fucking, it's like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, you know the main character in Yu-Gi-Oh! Look at his fucking hair.
I think that Makoto Shinkai went with like wanting to make them average because it's a slice of life rom-com is what it really is, what it boils down to. And it's supposed to be like atypical, right? Like you've got the story of we'll talk about that later actually.
Yeah. But speaking of atypical, let's talk about the sound and the scoring a little bit.
Oh, please.
Radwimps. So a lot of the in fact all of the music in Your Name was composed by Yojiro Noda, who is the lead vocalist of the Japanese rock band Radwimps, and the band itself performs a great deal of the music that you hear in the movie. Fucking phenomenal soundtrack.
Huh.
Oh yeah, like I wasn't kidding when I honestly think they spent like $1 million on the sound contract to get Radwimps to make the music. Like, I don't know who owns Radwimps' music. It might be Sony Music, because Sony Music owns, like, 60% of music in Japan. Sony owns a lot. They're a big music company still in Japan. And I guess overseas, too, but... but I loved every single song. Like, in the very first, like, 5 minutes, they do the anime trailer for, like, the beginning of... Like, I swear the very first 5 minutes of Your Name is the trailer that they released for everyone to see. But
it really, actually, it was. I watched it, and I'm like, this is just the trailer. I was like, is it playing the trailer beforehand? I was really confused, but then I'm like, no, this is the opening to the movie. I'm like, so they put the opening to the movie as the trailer. Okay, like, I don't mind, but weird.
But they have a lot of different Radwimp songs. It's not just like because with a lot of movies, they usually will have like one main song that will be played like maybe 3 or 4 times, and then there'll be like a slow rendition of it or something. Not with Your Name. They have all unique songs for each of the scenes. Like during the opening sequence, during the montage, during the ending, during the climax, like all of it is like original songs, which I really liked.
Not to mention another great thing is all of them actually blended together with the scenery beautifully. With whatever scene was happening, it was tailor-made for it, and it was amazing. Like, you definitely noticed it, but it added to the scene rather than detract from it.
I went and looked it up for you, John. Radwimps is signed under EMI Music, not Sony.
Oh, okay.
I was just curious. Since you brought it up, I got curious myself.
Yeah, I didn't. I just made a guess because I was like, well, if 60% of music is owned by Sony, then...
It was a good guess. It was a very good guess.
I also love the fact that his name is Noda as well. My nickname!
I completely agree with both of you. Like, Shinoda, you said it, the soundtrack just kind of flows with everything that you see on screen. And I feel like that was definitely a conscious decision on the part of both Radwimps and Makoto Shinkai to just have the music flow with both the action and like the dialogue and everything that the characters are doing on screen. It shows. I think it's one of the best soundtracks or scores that's ever been put out there for an anime movie.
Now, counter to this though, I think the sound design and the sound effects throughout the movie though are pretty tame. It's very atypical. There's nothing really unique about it. they don't use a lot of sound effects outside of like there's always a song playing in Your Name because you know you want to use music to evoke emotions and stuff like that. But when it does have scenes where it doesn't have music and it just has like stock sound effects,
they stand out.
Yeah, to me it was just like, yeah, they were there. You made a thing make a sound. It sounds like the thing.
Now that's not to say it's bad or anything. It's not, but it is very much just background noise that you've heard before. If you watched any other anime movie, even shows, you'll be like, yeah, okay, I've heard this sound before. It's not a bad thing necessarily, but it doesn't pop out either.
I just feel like if they were going to spend so much time on the music scoring, then they could have put a little bit more effort into making like better sound effects and just making it feel more lived in the world, I'd say, because Makoto Shinkai does a fucking phenomenal job making the world feel lived in, that we're just an outsider. We're literally just watching like God watching his children. Like we're just there in their world watching them. And with that much like amount of attention to detail, you would assume that you do it to the sound effects as well to make the world feel even more lived in. But you know, you got to cut where you got to cut, right? So
yeah. Can I tell you one sound effect that really stood out to me, and I don't know if it's for the right reason. You know that scene where they're I forget what it's actually called, but the spit socket.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's that scene where you actually hear the spit come out. I'm like, there's no way that's a stock sound. That sounds like they actually made the voice actress spit up into a cup.
Honestly, it made me think of like they probably got like a bottle of Kewpie, like Japanese mayonnaise, and just started squirting it out into a box or a cup or something. That's what it sounds like. It's
something.
Yeah, it's
There's something about that sound effect I hear. It's a little much.
I'll be honest, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, that's where this is from. I didn't realize this was from Your Name. I was just like, oh.
Everyone memes that image.
Like, I've seen it so much for all these years, but I didn't realize it was from Your Name. So I was like, holy shit, I see it. I seen it. I was just happy to see it. I didn't even realize about the sound.
Yeah. It's funny when you actually see the source of memes sometimes and see how like tame they are. But all that said, shall we move on to the actual things that we have a lot of issues with, or at least me and John do? I don't know about Shinoda.
I have feelings.
Shinoda probably doesn't, because, well, everyone has feelings. This movie.
Oh, I have feelings.
All right, let's talk. It's a slice of life rom-com that revolves around body swap, right?
Yep.
We see that in the trailer. They exposit for about 5 minutes before the main characters realize, we're actually body swapping. It's not a dream. And it's like, okay,
they have that gag where he like touches the tits and like, yeah, it's a body swap.
I mean, very, very tame, right? And I'm fine with that. I love slice of life. I love rom-com. So I'm okay with this premise. It's been done before. But I'm like, where's Makoto Shinkai gonna lead us? You know, he's a very good director and writer. So
take us on a journey, you funny man.
Yeah, and it's a cute story about a countryside girl who just wants to move to the big city, and a city-slicking boy who is just tired of the hustle and bustle, right? And it's a cute, right? It's cute. Their meet cute is like the whole realizing they're body swapping and they're sending messages to each other. I like that premise, right? It's like, has anyone ever seen The Lake House?
I have.
No.
Yeah, the original Korean one or the Il-Mare?
Well, I've seen the American remake.
Oh, with Keanu? That one's good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the American remake.
It's a pretty good remake.
Yeah. So, Il-Mare, I recall that's what it was called. The Lake House. You know, they only can communicate through letters. And for whatever reason, they can only communicate through, like, written means. And it's like, it's cute, right? It's a very cute premise. I've seen it before, but I like it. And then the story kind of like takes a dive in the first 30 minutes after like the first 5 of like the whole introduction thing. They have 30 minutes of like exposition that mean nothing.
And it's literally like watching a slice of life like anime episode.
Yeah.
It's literally what it is.
It felt like I was watching a 30-minute like anime episode, and I was just like, this is all right. I'm not like, everything is so tame and stereotypical thus far. Like, it's just, oh, they body swap, they leave notes for each other, they're just living each other's lives while pretending to be the other person, and like, oh, okay, that's cute, ha 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 ha, you know? And we don't really learn any new information. We kind of just watch them do stuff.
It was literally a montage.
Yeah, pretty much.
There is a section where they do a montage. And again, we're going to watch this montage, and it's got a beautiful fucking song Radwimps is singing in the background. But nothing of, like, importance was actually told to you in this first third of the movie. And then, like, the second third and the last third of the movie happen, and that's where the actual movie is. And it made me think back and go, like, wait, what the fuck was the point of the first 30 minutes then? Because it had nothing to do with the end.
I feel like the first 30 minutes is literally just an excuse to set up, like, a couple of montages to show off a great Radwimp song and the ability of Comics Wave Films to, like, pull off Makoto Shinkai's vision of art.
Yeah, like, I just feel like the first third of the movie was not crucial to the plot of the actual movie, and they could have utilized it a lot better. To explain a bunch of the stuff.
Shortened it immensely.
I don't think they should have shortened it. I never want people to shorten their movie stuff. Like, the more runtime you get, the better, in my opinion. You know, like, let's watch the director's cut of Lord of the Rings, 5 hours. Let's go. Like,
5 hours. You weakling. You watch the whole thing in one go. 24 hours.
Oh shit, dude.
Jesus Christ.
If only, dude. If only.
I've done it.
But because the more screen time you get, the more you can put into there, right? And with Makoto Shinkai, I expected him to be a lot more not what's the word I'm looking for? I expect Makoto Shinkai to show, not tell you stuff. And it just seems like I hate hand-holding in anime. I like to think about things. I like to, like, watch things and make connections on my own. I don't like being told explicitly stuff. Like,
you mean like when you're reading Overlord?
Yeah, like when I'm reading Overlord. But yeah, unlike other Makoto Shinkai films, he has a lot of explicit explanation for story plot points in this movie. And he just outright tells you them. Like, he doesn't show you nothing, he doesn't have an example of it, and he doesn't, like, breadcrumb you. And to me, this is why I feel like I said before we got onto this from our last movie review, everyone's going to hate me for saying this, but it needs to be said. Your Name is not Makoto Shinkai's best fucking work. Like,
no,
it's
not.
It's really not.
I'll agree
there's
to
glaring
that.
Plot holes. There's glaring plot holes. There's problems with the characters. I have a lot of problems with, like, both the main characters, because, like, there's just, I'm trying not to spoil it so much.
I know.
I could go off on a 30-minute tirade about, like, the problems with the characters alone, but it just seems like Makoto Shinkai, I get that this is more of a mass appeal thing. Like, not everyone wants to watch, like, a Satoshi Kon movie, right?
Yeah, where you're actually forced to think about it, like, for every single frame that you see.
And I feel like with Makoto Shinkai and how he's evolved as a writer, he's realized that if I'm going to make a story like this, I might have to just tell people some things sometimes. But that doesn't mean you can't just breadcrumb there too, though. Like, there was no breadcrumbing for certain plot points that just, to me, just really fucking irked me. And I was just like, what? Like, they never answer it, and they just tell you straight up, well, this is why. And it's like, oh.
And they hand wave a lot of stuff too, especially later in the film. And, like, not to spoil anything, obviously, but there is a twist that comes around the midpoint of the movie, and it's a good twist. But the more you think about it, the more you think, like, if you just hand wave it, which the movie tries to do, it's like, okay, cool. Now we move on and we try and solve this twist. But the more I think about it, the more I think there are some glaring plot holes with this twist.
I mean, there is a little bit of setup for that. The grandma talks about it a little bit, so I can forgive that for the plot twist. But there are other things that I can't forgive that I really wish I could talk about, but that's for an actual, like,
spoiler cast,
which this is not. This is just a spoiler-free review for the 5 people who have not seen Your Name yet.
5 people.
No, it's 4 people now.
Your Name.
Oh, it's 4 people now.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Chinoda finally watched it.
Chinoda finally fucking watched it.
I will say it's, again, hot off the presses, but I have to agree. The first, like, 30 to 40 minutes of the film, it was fun, I suppose, but it barely connects to the next part of the film, which is a shame. I really did enjoy the parts they gave, but it felt like almost two separate films, and I really didn't like that. I'm like, I saw the connection. Like, it was there. They set it up, but it was weak.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, because the first third of the film, the first 30, 40 minutes, is... Here's your point of interest, right? This story follows the traditional method of storytelling, the 3-act structure. And your first third of your movie is going to be here's the point of interest, and this is why you should be interested in the movie. And it's going to do a lot of like storytelling, exposition, stuff like that. And Makoto Shinkai just plays it off as like, oh yeah, it's just your stereotypical boy meets girl, meet cute, rom-com, except with body swap. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Like, that's, again, nothing new. It's not something I haven't seen before, and it's like, whatever. And then you have the rising action and then the climax, which have, like, they don't relate back to the first third at all. So you're like, wait, what? Because that was interesting, though. I give it that. Makoto Shinkai, when the second third of the movie and the last part of the movie, the rising action and the climax, I'm just going to call it that. It was extremely interesting. I really liked the story there. I just feel like it's
just the setup that you didn't like.
Yeah, because the setup makes no... I want to talk about it so bad. I'm trying really hard not to spoil this movie for the 4 people who haven't seen it.
I also so again, not to spoil anything, but there is like almost like an attempt to set up a love triangle, which goes fucking nowhere too.
Yeah, like there's a lot of, I want to call them red herrings, but there's a lot of things that seem like they'd be important plot points because there's emphasis on it at the very beginning. And then we never circle back to it, ever.
I feel like the thing with the senpai at his work is 100% a red herring.
Not only that, like there's with Tessie and the other girl.
Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
They did set
there's
that
a lot
up
of
little
like
bit.
little points where I'm like, oh, is this Makoto Shinkai breadcrumbing us? Is this him doing some shit in the background? And I'm like, oh, this is the interesting stuff that Makoto Shinkai always does. It doesn't go anywhere. Nothing.
Yeah.
The whole plot point with the dad being a politician. Nothing.
Yeah.
The whole because I get that it's being used to convey background information, like we learn like the whole politician and the corruption thing, like he explicitly says that to us. Like I gathered that much information on my own, Makoto Shinkai, and then you go right around and says, hey, political corruption, and I'm just
hey, political corruption in a small town.
I gathered that based off of the actions of the politician and the construction company. I got that already, dude.
Like, literally in the first time that the father is introduced and you see him like doing his political campaigning and shit, like I get it. You're showing me someone who's become so like despondent and corrupt by the position that he's in because he's held it so long. Like I got it. You didn't have to like explicitly tell me that 15 minutes later.
Yeah, and then to have that have no bearing at all on the actual ending. This like, why did you set this up? Like, what?
Yeah, you spent like 15 minutes going into this and then did nothing with it. Why?
And I get that it was just for background, but it's like you could have better used your time here, Makoto Shinkai. You could have developed you could have shown us more of the relationship between the MCs. You could have done more about like trying to link back to like the actual rising action and climax of the film. There was so much more I would have done with the first 30 minutes other than this stupid 15 minutes of like just nothingness.
I almost feel like the more I think about this, because I've rewatched this movie, I think 5 or 6 times now, maybe even more. The more I think about it, the more I wonder if this story would have been better if it had actually been given even more runtime and it actually felt like a fleshed out world. So like you make it like a 10-episode anime series, and that way you could actually explore the relationships developing and go into like how like the corrupt politician father is like holding this main character down. I feel like if you'd had more time to explore that and tie all of these relationships into like the main premise of the story and the main twist that you find in it at the midpoint, like I feel like it would have been better.
Yeah, I mean, I think Your Name would be very successful as a 10-episode anime, to be honest. Like, that's a lot of, that's, first of all, that'd be like about, what, equivalent of 200 minutes of runtime, right, for a movie?
200 to 230, yeah.
Which is like, almost, that's double of the actual runtime of the movie, which means we would have had a perfect amount of, like, exposition for everything and explain plot points a lot better. And... But it's just like maybe maybe Makoto Shinkai was crunched for time and he had to like just listen. This happened and it's happening. You just deal with it because he didn't have enough time. Maybe that's
don't
why.
Ask questions. Let's move on.
Right, and it's just like I don't know. I want to like this movie because everyone else says it's really great, but I'm just so cynical and like critical of it because everyone else told me it was so great, and then I watch it and I'm just like, it's not as great as people say it is.
It's frustrating for me because having seen his previous work, especially something like 5 centimeters per second, which we have also reviewed, and you should go check that out if you haven't. I know that he can write better than this. I know that he can.
Because we've seen it.
I know that he can write better than this with a shorter runtime.
Yeah. And, which, you know, I want to like this movie. I really do.
I do too. I want to like it. I love the idea of Your Name more than I actually like Your Name, which is sad. And like I said, I've rewatched this multiple times now, and it feels like a movie. When I first watched this in theaters, I loved it. I gave it like a 10 out of 10. I praised the hell out of it. I thought like, man, this is one of the best, if not the best anime movie I've ever seen. And then as I've rewatched it a couple of times over the years, every single time I rewatch it, I like it less and less.
Yikes.
And see, I was already critical. I rewatched it yesterday, and this is my second time watching the film. So these are opinions I've already had of the film when it was released, when I watched it the first time. Because again, like I said, I came into this hot because of my hype aversion. I have to be critical of something. If you tell me something's amazing and I watch it and it doesn't fucking knock my socks off, man, are you in for a fucking bad fucking time. Because I will criticize the fuck out of your show, and you will hate me for it.
Just ask the people in our Discord server.
Oh man, I can't wait for them to hear this episode and be like, what the fuck? Why? I can't believe you'd say this about... It's such a good film. It's like, it's really not. Makoto, it's a good film. I don't think it's a bad film at all. I think it's a good film. It's just not as great as you think it is.
It's also not Makoto Shinkai's best work, as we've stated.
Yeah, and like, you look at any fucking blog post, they're like, Makoto Shinkai's best anime work. And I'm like, just, like, commercially, I would say it is his best work because it's the most successful. It's commercially the most successful thing he's ever done. But in terms of writing, in terms of, like, storytelling, it could be a lot better. It could be a lot better.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest tragedy of Your Name, that it could be better. Just, it's not.
Which is not to say that, again, I didn't enjoy it. Like, I rated this movie, in my honest opinion, what I'd rate this movie is probably a 7 out of 10. It's not a bad film, but I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, purely because Radwimps is such an awesome band, and I love the soundtrack so much. But
honestly, pick up the soundtrack to Your Name, because even listening to it by itself, fucking phenomenal
It
music.
really is.
Yeah.
I think I would give it probably 8 out of 10 as well, just because, again, like, not the strongest writing, but the visuals, the soundtrack really, really makes up for it. It carries it hard, I will say. It's definitely worth the watch, definitely worth showing your friends and family. I would say go for it, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a great movie to show people who necessarily aren't anime fans, to maybe get them into the medium. I will say that. I'm going to be a little bit more harsh than the two of you. I gave it a 7 out of 10, mostly because, like, I've seen this so many times, and the more I watch it, the more I see new plot holes, I see new issues that I have with it, and it's like, I just maybe I need to watch this like 10 more times and it'll finally be a 5 out of 10.
No, it's because you had to talk to me, and I started opening up the plot holes. My cynicism got to you.
All right, no one talk to John ever about stuff. Just get recommendations
John
from
ever
him.
again
That's
about
all.
the things that we love. John, you can never ever talk to me about Spice and Wolf ever.
Oh man, let me tell you about Spice and
No,
man.
no.
At this part where Lawrence,
No.
I'm sorry, this is the effect I have on anime and people.
I know. Yeah, that's our review for Makoto Shinkai's Your Name. I can't wait to hear what some people say. Like, how dare you criticize this film? It literally made me pregnant.
We're gonna get
That's
reamed
fine.
out.
If people, it's fine if you love it and you think it's a perfect 10 out of 10 show, man. I'm just expressing my problems with the show. And again, like I said, I gave it an 8 out of 10. More of a 7 out of 10, really. But I gave it that extra point because of how much I like Rad Wimps. That's bias right there.
I mean, yeah.
But
in all fairness, the music is that good.
yeah, and this is definitely a movie that I'd recommend people watch. Like, this is an anime movie that, if it was a bad movie or a not so great movie, I'd be like, yeah, take it or leave it, right? Like, I don't know, some other generic anime show here. And I can't think of one right now where I'd be like, yeah, take it or leave it. A Whisker Away. You could watch it, you could not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? Like, that one is not something that I'd be like, it's a cultural phenomenon. But Your Name, I'd definitely say, if you've never seen Your Name, definitely check it out. Like, regardless of my criticisms of the show, of the writing of Makoto Shinkai, I think it's still a great film. Again, I love the rising action, and I love the finale. The climax and the finale. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, that being said, our next movie review is going to be chosen by John himself, so I can't wait to see what he eviscerates next. What are we reviewing next, John?
We're going to watch Belle, because I have not seen it.
Hey, same.
Nor have I.
Oh, shit.
So,
we're
yeah.
going in blind.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah, we are all literally going in blind for this.
Though
so,
I will say,
we'll be reviewing...
not completely blind because of who the director is.
That's true. So this is Mamoru Hosoda's newest movie. Came out, I believe, at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022 here in North America. So yeah, it'll be a brand new experience for me. I have yet to see it. So look forward to that when we do it, probably in about a month or so. Unless you guys have anything else to say, I was going to wrap it up here. Any closing thoughts on Your Name?
Good movie. Go watch it.
I'm probably going to buy the Blu-ray, not going to lie.
I already own the Blu-ray.
I bought a Blu-ray just for it at Otakon.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you all out there for dropping in to listen to us. Check the description below to find links to Anime Club After Dark on Twitch, on social media, and on Discord. You can check out our merch store. Any purchases you make there do really, really help us out. With that, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Come on.